With an abundance of resources at its disposal and no stockholders to answer to, Valve routinely operates outside the boundaries of logical consumerism. In fact, many of its decisions are blatantly anti-consumer, flying in the face of what players and developers actually want. Anti-consumer.
Look, here's the thing.
Fine. Listen,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
All right, what's going on, guys? I hope y'all are having a fantastic day today. I'm feeling great. You know, I've been playing some Doom Eternal. Had to do some stuff for my online classes, which is kind of cancer. But anyway, you know, we are here to take a look at a true clickbait video that, you know, gaming journalists are putting out just to try and smear a good company and what looks to be a good game. Now, Half-Life Alyx is about to release. This is the first Half-Life game in, what, like 14 years or something like that? So, you know, this is a big deal. A lot of people are very excited for this. A lot of people went out and bought VR headsets for this game because, you know, it looks really good. It looks like Valve is actually delivering a true AAA experience to VR, which to my knowledge has never been done so far. So I'm probably going to pick this game up eventually. I don't know if I'm going to get it at launch. You know, I got to dust off the old Oculus Rift, but anyway, yeah, it looks good. A lot of people are excited for it, and knowing Valve, it's probably going to be a great game. So, of course, you know, when there's hype surrounding a game journalists and gaming sites, you know, that are dying out there, they're basically trying to clickbait and get money off of anything they can, and that's exactly what this video is. Now, the title of the video is Half-Life Alyx shows Valve's bad attitude, and they try to claim that Valve and Half-Life Alyx are anti-consumer because it's a VR game. Like, you really just cannot make this shit up. But anyway, I don't really think we need to talk about it too much. I think we should probably just go ahead and get into this because we are definitely dealing with
a very low IQ person.
So guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and check out this fantastic video and find out why Valve and Half-Life Alyx are anti-consumer.
Valve does whatever the hell it wants. This isn't shocking considering the massive amounts of wealth and influence the company enjoys in the video game industry. The surprising part is how players respond positively to Valve over and over again, even when the company's announcements feel more like a slap in the face.
I just really love how salty this video is right off the bat. Like, she despises Valve and Steam. You could really tell, but I don't know, dude. I don't get what the problem is here. Like, I don't think releasing a VR game is a slap in the face, and I don't think most people who are excited for this game would agree with that notion at all. You know, sure, it's been a while since they've released a Half-Life game, but at the same time, I think people are just happy they're getting something at this point. And Valve, behind the scenes, has been investing heavily in the VR industry. Like, they helped develop the HTC Vive. They're releasing their own VR headset now. They've helped countless third-party developers release their VR games and develop them. And on top of that, you know, Steam itself is compatible with every VR headset you can buy. So it's not like they're hardware locking the games you buy on Steam. So they're very open with VR. They want to revolutionize this industry. You can tell they're heavily invested in it. And it just seems natural that their next step would be to release that first true AAA experience in VR. And I don't really see how that's a slap in the face. They're actually trying to help the gaming industry advance. But you know what? I'm sure this video will enlighten us on how this is just unacceptable.
It's unclear just how much money Valve pulls in each year, since it's a private entity and doesn't have to publicly disclose its finances. But estimates of its annual revenue begin at $4 billion. Valve founder Gabe Newell is personally worth $3.5 billion, according to Forbes. The company's main money fountain is Steam, which has been the top PC gaming platform for more than a decade, with 1 billion registered accounts and an average of 90 million monthly active users.
You know, I really don't know why we're talking about the net worth of Gabe Newell, but apparently this is relevant to Half-Life Alyx and why it is anti-consumer that this game is VR. But apparently, you know, this is something that she really wants to talk about, and you can tell she's kind of salty about it too. Like, the man's worth so much money. But if anything, this just proves the fact that Valve really doesn't need to make games anymore. They could just sit back and let Steam make a bunch of money for them, but at the same time, they're actually trying to advance the gaming industry. So this really doesn't help your point whatsoever, and I don't really see how it's relevant to this video whatsoever.
And that's just Steam. Valve also owns a library of legendary video game franchises, including Half-Life, Left 4 Dead, Portal, Counter-Strike, Dota, and Team Fortress. Plus, it has a hardware division building experimental consoles and virtual reality headsets, including the HTC Vive line and Valve's own device, the Index. With an abundance of resources at its disposal and no stockholders to answer to, Valve routinely operates outside the boundaries of logical consumerism. In fact, many of its decisions are blatantly anti-consumer, flying in the face of what players and developers actually want.
Yeah, 100%. I would definitely choose to describe Steam as anti-consumer. Yeah, no. You know, the clickbait is already starting here. They are changing the narrative very quickly. I would say Steam is very pro-consumer. They're probably the most pro-consumer PC platform you can buy games from, second only to GOG. You know, GOG, they're really awesome. Their only problem is they don't have many games on there. But Steam, for the most part, is a very pro-consumer place to buy games. They have a great refund policy. They have great social features. They don't really heavily restrict what games you can release and buy there too. So, you know, for the most part, Steam is a very good platform to buy and play your games on, and I would definitely not describe them as anti-consumer.
Valve forces players to use specific platforms, shuts down revenue streams for developers, and shows little interest in building the games and sequels that fans are desperate to play.
Yeah, the platform that is the most readily available and open to developers to release their games is definitely cutting off their revenue streams. 300 IQ logic, if I do say so myself. But at the same time, is she really going to try and act like every other launcher on PC, with the exception of GOG, doesn't restrict that you have to launch the game from the launcher you bought it on? I mean, that's the industry standard. Go buy an Xbox game and try to play it on your Nintendo Switch. It's not going to happen. So, you know, you can try and use this to knock Steam, but wherever else you look, you're not going to find anything better.
The company consistently offloads its moderation duties, and when its veteran writing team left, Valve bought Firewatch studio Camposanto, only to cancel development on its highly anticipated next project in the Valley of Gods.
Kind of funny you bring them up, since they're the ones actually developing Half-Life Alyx. So, you know, I don't see a problem with Valve buying a development studio to help them work on their new AAA VR game. And just because a game was announced doesn't mean it's going to come out, okay? Like, look at Dead Island 2. We saw that game like 6 years ago at this point. That shit's gone, dude. It's stuck in development hell. It's probably canceled at this point. That stuff happens in the games industry. I think Valve has canceled a bunch of games themselves. So, I don't see a problem with this whatsoever. The studio's probably happy they got bought out. You know, they probably got a fat check, and they get to work on a huge project like this that has a big fan base that's going to really appreciate their work. So, you know, again, we are nitpicking here to try and find a problem where there isn't one.
However, the most recent example of Valve's bad attitude is Half-Life Alyx. When it comes out on March 23rd, Alyx will be the first Half-Life game in 13 years. Valve released the original Half-Life in 1998, and its sequel, Half-Life 2, in 2004. Both titles were incredibly popular, but Half-Life 2 became an instant classic. It defined a genre of narrative-driven first-person shooters.
And now Valve wants to try and revolutionize the new genre of first-person narrative-driven VR experiences. And that's why people are so excited, is because Half-Life was such an interesting and cool game, because they tried something new at the time. It was a genre-defining experience, and well, that's what people are hoping Half-Life Alyx will be for the VR industry. You know, when Valve is interested in something and they try something new, it typically turns out to be very good. And who knows, this game could be even better than the original Half-Life titles. We don't even know yet. The game's not out. It could be absolutely fantastic. But, you know, you're going to sit here and make this video and trash not only the game, but also Valve themselves, because you know what's going to make for some very easy clickbait views.
And players were eager for more. Valve quickly announced a follow-up, but split it into 3 parts. Episode 1 landed in 2006, and Episode 2 came out in 2007. Fans have been begging Valve to release Half-Life Episode 3 for 13 years. And the company has largely responded with silence. This relationship has led to a strange form of digital Stockholm syndrome and branded paranoia, where players see clues about the game in every announcement Valve makes, desperate to believe their pleas are being heard.
Is this bitch really trying to act like the Valve can't count to 3 meme is some sort of mental disorder? Like, people are paranoid? You know, there's a bunch of schizophrenics running around the internet finding meaning in symbols that doesn't actually exist, all to confirm the existence of their precious Half-Life 3. Like, what the fuck, man? Like, you could tell this video, they were like, oh shit, we need to come up with something to clickbait Half-Life Alyx. What do you guys have here that we can work with? I mean, Jesus Christ, this is really pathetic, dude. You know, I'll admit, I took the bait, I clicked on the video, I gave them the attention they so desperately craved, but luckily for you guys, you don't have to do so. You know, you can watch this entire video here with me instead of giving them any sort of recognition for this bullshit.
Half-Life Alyx isn't Half-Life Episode 3.
No shit.
As it stands, Valve still hasn't updated fans on the status of Episode 3. Instead, Alyx is a prequel, set between the events of Half-Life and Half-Life 2. Oh, and it's only playable on VR platforms. And it'll work best on the Index, Valve's proprietary VR headset that costs $1,000.
I love how she tries to take a shot at them for releasing a high-end VR headset. It's like, no shit, the game's gonna play best on there. It's the newest VR headset on the market, and on top of that, it has the best specs available on any VR headset, which is why it's more expensive than most other VR headsets on the market. So, no shit, it's gonna play better on there. But it's not just Half-Life Alyx. Every other VR game is going to play better on the Valve Index versus like a $400 Oculus. That's fucking common sense. Of course, if you're buying a premium product, you're gonna get better performance. That's like trying to knock a company for making their game run better on a 2080 Ti versus a 2060, okay? No shit. The one that's more expensive with better specs is going to give you a better experience. I think it's pretty safe to assume at this point these people really don't like Steam.
Shockingly, this strategy hasn't alienated Valve's fans. In fact, most players are expressing excitement for this VR-only, prohibitively expensive Half-Life prequel, and online hubs are buzzing with praise and intrigue. It's being hailed as the software savior of the VR industry, driving an increase in headset sales across the board, but particularly for the Valve Index. Valve sold 103,000 Index kits and depleted its stock in the final 3 months of 2019 amid the announcement of Half-Life Alyx, according to SuperData Research.
You know, apparently it's a problem that Valve is releasing a high-end VR headset for the people who want it, and you know, this thing sold out. It's not like they're locking this game down to Valve Index. You can play it on any VR headset you want to, but if you want the best experience possible, you have the option to go out and buy the best VR headset on the market. You can plug in your $400 Oculus Rift and enjoy the game, or you can plug in your $1,000 Valve Index and enjoy the game. It's completely up to you how you want to experience this game. And I think Valve, if anything, should be applauded for not restricting software to a particular VR headset like companies like Facebook do with Oculus.
The company restocked on March 9th and sold out the same day. This is a classic Valve move. Forced adoption is exactly how the company got so many people happily hooked on Steam in 2004. Half-Life 2 was the first title that made Steam a requirement. Even with physical discs, players had to install Valve's client in order to play the game. By 2011, Valve had sold more than 12 million copies of Half-Life 2, and Steam had a stranglehold on the PC gaming market. Valve's anti-consumer tendencies aren't contained to the Half-Life franchise.
This bitch is really trying to claim this is forced adoption. I don't have to buy a Valve Index to buy this game and play it. I can buy any VR headset I want to. Valve is giving us the choice in this situation, and the fact she's bringing up something from 16 years ago to try and prove her point is absolutely ridiculous. It really just shows you how desperate they are to find anything to try and attack this game for.
The company is notoriously unable to count to 3 in any of its established series, leaving fans hanging after Left 4 Dead 2 in 2009, Portal 2 in 2011, and of course Half-Life Episode 2 in 2007. And then there's Team Fortress 2, a competitive class-based multiplayer shooter that's also been running since 2007. In an era of Overwatch, Fortnite, and live streaming, Team Fortress 2 could have been a top-tier eSports title, but instead, Valve let the game languish.
I just really don't even know what the fuck to say anymore. Apparently, you know, every single multiplayer game to ever exist has to be a fucking esport these days, you know? We can't just have fun with online games anymore. Everything has to be super ultra competitive. You know, every single kid that plays the game has to try to go MLG Pro. I mean, shit, this game is like 15 years old. Why the fuck would they care about this game anymore? There's a point where you're just like, yeah, this game is ancient. You know, people still play it, sure, but we want to move on to other stuff. That'd be like Call of Duty still supporting COD 4, the original, and trying to push that as an esport, or Microsoft still trying to promote Halo 3 as an esport. So this is her big proof for why Half-Life Alyx is anti-consumer. You know, Valve didn't make TF2 an esport, even though games like Overwatch and fucking Fortnite exist. If there's any game you should not follow the example of, it's fucking Fortnite.
As of 2017, Valve had just 16 people on the TF2 development team, and even then, they weren't full-time. When news of the TF2 team size hit Reddit, players joked that it was likely composed of voice actors, janitors, and folks simply passing by. Even in the midst of repeated disappointment, that's generally the response Valve gets from Steam users: laughter and a sense of camaraderie.
I mean, is she really trying to claim that it's somehow a negative thing that this game, after almost 15 years of being available, still has dedicated support to it? Like, most game studios move on after like 2 or 3 years. They're done with the game. They stop supporting it. No new content updates or anything like that. Valve, at least, has people working on this game. It may not be full-time, but, it's something. Most game studios would not do this. So if anything, it proves that Valve is not anti-consumer, but at the same time, what the fuck does this have to do with Half-Life Alyx, which is a single-player game?
As if players are in on whatever joke the multi-billion-dollar company is playing on them. There's a cottage industry of friendly Valve-related memes revolving around the number 3 and hailing Gabe Newell as the patron saint of PC gaming. Valve's business-first mentality extends to developers on Steam as well. Early on, Valve established a revenue-sharing model, giving the company 30% of the sales from any game on Steam, leaving developers with a 70% share.
Just like all console manufacturers, you buy a game on PlayStation, Xbox, or the Nintendo Switch, whoever made that console is taking 30%. This is not something abnormal. You buy a game off of EA Origin, which is a third-party game not made by EA, they take 30%. You buy a game off GOG, they take 30%. This is not something abnormal. The only store that doesn't do this is the Fortnite Launcher, and well, no one likes the Fortnite Launcher, so no one gives a shit. And plus, I'm not really concerned with how much developers and publishers are making off the money I spend on a game. All I care about is I can buy the game in a place I want to play it, and really that's all that concerns me. So honestly, I don't really give a shit how much of a percentage Steam takes. That may sound selfish, but in reality, I'm not getting paid by these developers or publishers, so why the fuck should I care?
And then the Epic Games Store launched in late 2018.
Yeah, we saw how great that turned out,
offering developers an 88% cut. Independent studios rejoiced, and a handful of high-profile titles were announced as timed exclusives on the Epic Store. Soon after, the Discord Store announced it would offer developers 90%.
Yeah, the Discord Store and Epic Games Store are really killing it right now. Everybody has just flocked to those two places to buy video games. It's not like Steam has broken its concurrent player-based record or anything recently. No, it could be that. Steam is going under at this point. The Discord Store and the Epic Games Store, aka the Fortnite Launcher, they're just bringing everybody over because everyone cares so much about how much money a developer gets from the sale of that game.
If Valve were any other company, it would have seen the positive response its competitors received from the developer community and altered its revenue-sharing model to match the new standard.
Except it's not the standard at all. Like, did Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo change their revenue cut in response to the Epic Games Store? No, they didn't. They didn't give a shit. So why the fuck would Steam? They have 1 billion registered users. They control the PC gaming market. They are not going to change their revenue split because some random-ass new store pops up and says, hey, we're going to take less from developers. And guess what? No one cares. No one is flocking over to the Epic Games Store to buy every single new game over there. People only have that shit downloaded to play Fortnite and get the free games they give away every month. Like, no one is buying shit from them, and that's the simple truth. So why the fuck would that be the industry standard if every single other company in the industry has not responded to it whatsoever?
That's not to say this situation is completely terrible. Valve has proven to be an innovative powerhouse, and when the studio is good, it's really, really good. Even though Steam comes with its own set of third-party restrictions, the service was a lighthouse during the dark days of digital rights management in the mid-2000s, and it remains the largest repository of PC titles today. And when Valve does actually release a game, it tends to be fantastic, like spawn a new genre of video games fantastic.
Wow, it's almost like you could have prevented yourself from making this entire video if maybe you thought, well, maybe people might be excited for this new Half-Life VR game, because like you said, whenever Valve tries something new, it typically turns out to be great, so why wouldn't people be excited for a game being made in their favorite franchise from Valve while they're trying something new at the same time? A simple thought can go a very long way to prevent you from doing something stupid like making this video.
I guess that's why players will wait 13 years to be excited about the wrong game coming to a limited platform.
Okay, I'm going to be honest here. I'm really glad this video is almost over because I'm almost at that point, and it takes a lot for me to get there, where I'm about to say something that would probably get me banned off of YouTube.
Just like with Steam, Valve is the only company that can deliver this experience. And in both instances, There isn't really any other choice. Subscribe and stay tuned to Engadget.com for all the video game news.
Well, you know, guys, that is a very enticing offer because let's face it, they've been a pretty good, reliable source for some quality-ass content on YouTube. I mean, first, the video claiming the PS5 and Xbox would be as powerful as a $1,200 2080 Ti. And now, you know, Half-Life Alyx is going to be bad because they didn't make Team Fortress 2 into an esport. I mean, you really just cannot make this shit up. So, you know, I'll probably go ahead and hit them with that subscribe and just keep an eye on them for some more potential quality-ass content to make videos on. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. You know, let me know your thoughts on Half-Life Alyx. I think this video is going to be up by the time it's released because it's 4:53 in the morning at the time of recording this video. So, yeah, it's probably not going to go up till the afternoon anyway. So, if you've played the game, let me know what you thought about it. You know, maybe our friend in the video here was right all along, and Valve, you know, they were just trying to screw us this entire time because they're so anti-consumer. And yeah, I'll probably check out Half-Life Alyx at some point. It's just not right now is a good time. I mean, I just got Doom. I have Animal Crossing as well. And I was just in the middle of playing Borderlands 3 because that finally got its official PC release. So yeah, I've got a lot of shit to play, and I'll probably go back and play Half-Life Alyx at some point. Or, you know, if enough people tell me, like, yeah, dude, you gotta fucking play this game, it's amazing, you know, I'll probably end up buying it, dude. Let's be honest here. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on the game if you've played it. And with that said, guys, I want to thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to check out this video and for all the recent support as well. This was a pretty long video, dude. I'm just looking at the recording right now. So yeah, if you made it to the end, you're a real one. I appreciate the absolute fuck out of all of you, and I will catch you guys next time.